Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Yatra Sister Podcast. I'm Sharita.
And I'm Allison.
And today we are going to talk about...
We are going to talk about I'm worth a lot. I'm worth a lot.
I always say because the reason I always say is because I like for it to like sink into my soul what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
So when you say a lot, the first thing that comes to my mind is when you say a lot can mean different things to different people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Sharita, I said that like I had the best self-esteem. Like I was Heidi Klum. Like I'm worth a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, I forget that on a daily basis. And when you said a lot, I accidentally will attach stupid things to determine my worth. And recently, it's been, it's big news. I sold the yoga studio.
Yes, you did. I mean,
I did.
Congratulations on being brave enough to jump.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Into the next.
Right?
Even the look on your face now is still fearful when I say
jump.
Yes,
I cheated my face.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a hard thing for me because when you just said I'm worth a lot, what does a lot mean? So for me, I spent 17 years, my worth was not a financial worth. It was how many people did I help?
Yes.
How much could I have really created a spiritual haven? I was really dedicated to it being an authentic place. I was very dedicated to being true, authentic yoga. I was always there, almost 24 hours a day, availability as counseling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So the worth of that studio, it was like a little jewel box. To me, it was like the inside of my heart.
Yeah.
It was literally like opening it up and somebody crawling in and examining my heart. But unfortunately, the transaction had to be treated like a business.
Yes.
And taxes. And it felt like I wanted to cry through the whole thing. Because what it's deemed in worth and finances is not reflective of how I thought my heart and soul. So it's when somebody puts money on your heart and soul, it feels horrid.
Yeah.
It feels horrid. It's like going into court and having something happening and somebody saying, well, you get $30,000 for that happening to you. And you're like, God, that just summed up. That experience came up to $30,000.
Yeah, that's what it's worth to you. Like you don't know what I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt through the sell this business was it was monetary value, and that's all that it's deemed it's worth. And that feels horrendous when I thought about it as my heart and my soul.
You know, I can see that because you and I, one of the things I love about us is we balance each other out.
Yeah.
You are right. You are, when you walk into the studio that you created and built, it feels like a home. It feels like a safe space.
It should be the inside of my hug, my heart.
100%. And it feels that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the business side of me is like, hey, it is a business.
Right.
But you're saying, I know it's a business, but it's so much more. You know, so I see that. And so it's so interesting that we're talking about this at this time because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The worth in the amount of people that you touched and the services that you offered in comparison to whatever a dollar amount is two different things. So how to tear yourself away from that, or even the word tear, it is a tear. It's a tear, like it hurts.
Happy with my decision and happy that it's going to still be extremely successful and believing in it.
Correct.
But you know, going back to our podcast on a personal level, you know, here that since we are live, and so you have to just kind of pick up listeners, but here's my worth. Okay, I'm going to go underneath this. This is 17 years, Sharita, of cards people have given me. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Allison,
with a lot
changed my life.
With a lot of
You
words
changed my
written
life.
on it. It's not just
they're
thank
not small.
you.
I couldn't have done it without you. Look at these.
There's
they're
love written on those cards.
This is my worth. This is 17 years of what I contributed. Is really I walked away with this basket. And I'm good with that because that was my choice.
Absolutely.
But you know, I think this is leading to what we're asking.
Yes.
Most of us, and I don't think it's just me, I think most human beings define their worth in 3 categories.
Okay.
They define their worth through their career.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
That can be financial as well as accolades or awards or how other coworkers look at you, promotions.
Absolutely, yeah.
It can even be deeper than the financial part. You can develop your worth through, I have a title. This is how I introduce myself. This is how
my identity.
That's my worth.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the career. I think another avenue people define their worth through is relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether it's dating, husband, wife, daughters, sons, you define your worth through a relationship and how that person speaks to you, treats you.
Correct, yeah.
And then the third, I think you define your worth through your appearance, through your looks.
Yes, we do.
Yes, yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
And so that's how we go every day. We wake up and those three arenas are out there telling us what our worth is. So not only this week did I have to sell the studio and feeling like that was vulnerable, I've also been sick, which we know for several weeks, right?
Right.
And it's gotten to a place where it's almost like a humiliating sickness because it's involving my colon, and now you have to go to these gastroenterologists or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And I swear, it's like my appearance itself is like has no worth anymore. You know, it's like you're gross, you're nasty, you have these infections. So it's like this whole week has been anything I had accidentally my worth attached to was literally just being either ripped off or told it really doesn't have a lot. You don't have a lot of worth. For the past 20 years, Allison, I just want to let you know, you really have no worth.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting that you say that and that you felt that, because that's one of the things that we talk about in yoga is getting to a place where you have no attachments.
Yes, that's what I decided to do. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday, I began doing my meditation. And my deep internal, because there was a lot of tears that were being shed.
Oh, I'm sure.
That I'm like, my gosh, this is what it's come to. Wow. You have no worth, Allison. This isn't healthy. I might need to step in. My high self needs to step in and pull myself back.
Yeah.
So I began the process of non-grasping.
Okay. Oh.
Non-grasping.
Yeah. Talk about that for a moment.
Okay. So I think what we're saying, before I was talking about non-grasping, the three areas I said that we connect ourselves to worth, those are dangerous.
Extremely. I agree 100%.
I know we all do it, but they are so dangerous. I'm here to tell you, literally, friends, I've tasted it. Attaching your worth to 17 years to a career, that is the most dangerous thing you can ever do. You cannot blend your worth to your career.
You cannot. External factors, period, are very, very dangerous to attach your worth to. Yeah.
You and I both did it in a relationship. I attached my worth to my ex-husband. I mean, I'm talking deeply attached my worth with him. And then when I was left or cheated on or whatever, my gosh, I had to snap in then again and go, Allison, you cannot let this diminish your worth.
Right. Absolutely.
That happened to you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, definitely in my first marriage with my my husband at the time, my worth was 100% attached to him. I will say in my second marriage, because I mean there were two. I don't want to say 3 times the charm because I don't know what's going to happen. But in my second one, I think my worth came from not so much my wife, but I think my worth came from that, you know what, I can be with somebody. Because for a long time, I thought I was not worthy enough to be with someone that I deemed was a good personal quality.
Yeah.
So that's where I think my worth was attached to that idea of being married.
Oh, yeah.
To somebody that I saw was a worthy person at that moment versus the person themselves. If that and the life that we could have, like all of that.
Oh, sure.
The material things, really.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
And we've laughed about this many times, how much we've attached appearance to worth.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, women, ladies, men, fix that now, fix that today, because aging does happen.
It does.
Eventually you are seeing a proctologist.
Yeah.
It is going to happen.
Yes, there are some things that will happen as we get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's it's true. I mean, you can't. I attached my worth for so many years to my outer beauty. I really did.
Yeah, you and millions of other people.
Oh yeah, clothing, hair, nails, weight.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole gamut that you do, and that as long as my outer appearance was still attractive, I still had worth, right?
So let me ask you a question. You just brought up something interesting. So you said as long as your outer appearance looked basically the way you wanted to, you still had worth. But is it a fictitious worth, or is it worth because we each have different ideas of what worth is? I'm not saying that, oh no, this worth is better than that worth, but is it a worth that is fulfilling to us? Because I think a lot of times, you hear people have a great job, great title, but they're miserable. You see people that what we see is gorgeous physical beauty, but they are miserable.
Yes.
People who have money to have the best clothes, the best cars, they are still miserable and depressed.
Yes.
So is that worth, is what I'm asking, is that worth a true, authentic worth?
Okay, I think that it is important to care about your outer appearance. I do, and I think it's important to care about your career, and I do think it's important to care about your relationships.
Yeah.
And I don't think one worth is trumped over another. I think if you focused on your internal worth first,
right,
the external worth is like just accessories.
Yes.
They're almost like a reflection, a mirror, that the worth was developed internally first. So if you are internally have a lot of internal worth, you probably do wake up and feel kind of good about your little clothes that you picked out, and you're like singing and snapping when you put your little chapstick on.
Yeah.
Because you do that all the time, Sharita.
I do.
You don't leave
the
anywhere without your chapstick.
I don't.
And your cute little shoes. And then of course, if your internal worth is there, you're probably happier in your relationships, because when somebody doesn't treat you worthy, you don't get really worked up. You're like, well, gotta see you, check you later, right?
Let me tell you, we could say amen and end this thing now, but we won't, because we still have a lot more time to talk.
Yeah.
But what you just said is like everything.
Yeah, it's internal worth has to be determined, and then the rest is a reflection.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I have found, even this week, I was struggling finding my internal worth, because I was accidentally letting the external world tell me my worth.
See, we have to get to a point where that becomes, like, we talk about doing self-work. And self-work doesn't stop when you feel like, oh, this looks good today.
Yeah.
Like, that's when that shit will creep back in and knock
in
you
a minute
out in left field. It has to be continuous. So we have to constantly life check and make sure, I believe, that our self-worth is coming from a healthy place.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, a pilot doesn't learn how to fly a plane and then just stop and put it on autopilot. And then a storm comes and they say, oh, well, autopilot's got it.
Hold on, everybody.
No, I mean, I'm sure a pilot, I don't care if he's been flying 25, 30 years, hits something, an engine goes out. The heart's going to drop to the belly and go, shit, I remember I trained for this.
Correct.
But I've been flying 20 years and haven't had an engine, failure.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. I've been flying for 20 years. I've never had to examine worth through my career before.
Because everything was great.
Everything was fine.
Wow.
It's the first time in 20 years that I'm like, whoa. I have to examine my worth through my career, and I'm not feeling very worthy.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not feeling very worthy at all. So going back and saying, okay, you know what, I have to stop. I'm letting the external world tell me of my worth, and that's not feeling so good. Even though I had a lot of people say kind things I don't want to say.
Oh, absolutely.
But it still wasn't fixing it.
Right.
Because it was an internal problem.
Wow.
Even if I had external people saying, oh, you made a difference, this and that, it still wasn't fixing that hole. That hole was in there that somewhere I was getting disconnected from my internal worth.
So deep in so many levels, because even when you talk to people that, are dealing with feeling alone, and I've heard people often say, I can be in a room full of people, but I still feel alone.
Yes.
But like you said, even that, all of this connects in so many ways, but the self-worth.
Yes.
If you can learn to give yourself self-worth, then you can be alone in a room or in 100 people and you're still going to feel amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Wow. It has to come inside.
So how does this happen?
Well, you were talking about the non-grasping. So what I realized was in one of my meditations that if I really want to progress on this thing, I'm going to have to let go of everything. That's the next step. The next step truly is, Allison, you're going to have to let go of those last bits of attachments. If you're really on this spiritual quest that you've been on, here you are getting ready to taste it right now, Allison. And what you are tasting is that you have accidentally deemed a worth in the external world, even though you were doing it in a spiritual way. And I thought, isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
I'm even going to have to do this. So, you know, a mandala, right? Monks gather and they sit with tweezers, one little grain at a time, and build a huge, beautiful diagram, breathtaking. Okay, one sand at a time. They wear masks so that their breath doesn't even blow the sand. They're hunched over, very tiny.
Wow.
And it's colorful, and you wouldn't believe the design. After it's done, they sweep it away.
Oh my God.
That's what they do.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I told myself that every day. Every day.
Yeah.
Allison, you're grasping. You've built something beautiful.
You did.
You're going to sweep it away, and you're going to design again.
Oh my gosh. Freedom and change just broke for me.
Yeah.
That's so, and it's doable.
It is so doable.
It's doable to imagine that and live your life in that way. Not all at once. Sometimes baby steps, right? But
yes,
it's so doable.
Yes, maybe it's 4 grains of sand and then you blow it away. And it was just a straight line you made.
Right. Correct.
You're like, okay, I made a straight line. I'm going to breathe through this and then I'm going to blow it away.
It's going away.
You know, and that was one of the things I did. The second thing I was doing in my meditation is I was letting myself go back to become space. I am actually space. And I let all of my feelings and my emotions, my possessions, my titles, all these things, I let them float like little bubbles. And I was looking at them. And I would say, oh, there's the bubble of me having this. Oh, there's the bubble of fear. Oh, there's the bubble of a possession. Oh, there's the bubble of finances. Oh, there's the bubble of your title. And then I just let myself actually be the space instead of the bubbles.
Okay.
So I wouldn't grab them. And I would say, Allison, every time you go to grab one, that's not going to work. It's actually an illusion, Allison.
It's an illusion.
This whole journey has been an illusion. Everything you thought you could hold on to define as your worth was a moving bubble, Allison.
Wow.
It was a moving bubble. You were trying to hold worth by your looks. That was a moving bubble. You were trying to hold worth by your career. That was a moving bubble. You were trying to hold worth by friendships and relationships. Moving bubble.
You know, when you say that, I go back to the childlike state of when we were kids and how, I mean, shit, even as adults, I still love blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
But you know, we're standing there and we're blowing bubbles and we've separated ourselves from this beauty.
Yes.
And we just watch them. We go and pop. And the thing, when we pop, we get joy when they pop. It's not like we're like, let me hold on to this. It's
and
like,
if you try to grab one, you only get to hold it for a tiny bit.
And it's gone.
And then it's gone.
And we laugh.
And that's it.
And we have fun. So that's life.
And you know what's even more interesting? It was our own breath that made the bubble. Ooh, the bubble was us, but at the same time, you can't hold the bubble.
Just went deep.
Right?
Yes.
So I think we need to just let ourselves release. Worth is going to be in a bubble for a moment and then gone. Worth is going to be in another bubble, then gone. It's going to be there for a moment, then gone. But here's what's beautiful: another bubble's coming along.
So what I'm hearing you say is, maybe I was making, I don't know, 6 figures now, and maybe I'm making, $20,000. But you know what? There's still beautiful bubbles. That bubble's gone, but here's another bubble.
Yes, it was a beautiful bubble.
Maybe I was in love with this man or this woman now, and for some reason it didn't work out. But it could be loving yourself. You're loving yourself could be another bubble. But that bubble is now gone, and that's okay, because here are more beautiful bubbles that you have to float around in your life and be a part of.
Yes. The bubbles are never stopping.
I love the bubbles.
I love the bubbles.
I love the bubbles.
And when we do that, we also don't, I didn't try to shame myself for having, some of the bubbles had fear in there. Some of the bubbles had some tears. Some of the bubbles had some anger. Some of the bubbles
had some what the fucks, I'm sure.
There was a lot of bubbles in there that I'm like, oh, that's an interesting bubble. But as long as I kept practicing not trying to grab the bubble, hold the bubble, sit with that bubble too long, it was okay. And I like what you said, you know, once the bubble's gone, remember the bubble as something good.
Yeah.
Just remember the bubble as something good.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not the end of your worth. It was a bubbling moment. It was one of your bubbles.
Yes.
And now it's gone. Now you need to look at another bubble's coming.
Yes, because you're looking at that one bubble, or we're looking at that one bubble, but there are like 100 other bubbles over here floating. Like, why are we not looking at these beautiful bubbles full of amazing things?
And you can make more bubbles. Yeah. You yourself can make more bubbles.
More bubbles of worth for you. Whatever that worth is for you.
Yes.
Make bubbles of worth for yourself. I love that.
Yes. But here's the key, and I'm glad you said it before I did. Don't grasp them. Don't try to hold them. Don't try to create all of your happiness, your worth over any of these bubbles.
Love that. Yes.
You cannot put your, you know, my studio had more things in there for 17 years. I mean, I'm talking statues, flags, lanterns.
From all over.
Pictures,
like from all over the world.
All over the world. Things people had brought me. It was very hard to even go through possessions and decide what was worthy to take or not take, or, you know, you're actually sitting down and placing worth on a basket that maybe cost 15 cents, but you know what? A delightful person that lived in Australia brought me the basket. So then that basket had a different worth, not a monetary worth, it had a memory worth.
Correct.
But then again, maybe I'm grasping onto the basket and putting too much worth on the basket. You see what I'm talking, like a riddle?
I do.
It becomes a riddle.
I do, yeah.
So I had to just sit down, like literally put down the physical possessions, put down the actual monetary things, stop going to the damn doctor who wanted to look in places I was really not digging them looking into.
Did you say digging? Okay.
If you want to know how unworthy you can feel as a human, visit a gastroenterologist or proctologist.
Okay.
I mean, they really put things in perspective, that you really are just a thing of flesh.
I bet.
Like, you're not a person. You don't have a name, and you mean nothing.
Lots of probing.
Yes, it's just, you're just an object to probe.
Yeah.
You have no worth.
No worth.
You're just brought down to the lowest level of who you can be.
Just a body.
You really are just a body.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that they tell me I'm just a body, because I wanted to be just a body at that point.
I bet.
I didn't want it to be personal.
We should tell ourselves more often, girl, look, you're just a body. I mean, you know, because we're joking a little bit about that, but that helps us. I always say we need to be the ones to constantly knock ourselves down off our pedestals.
Yes.
By telling ourselves we're just a body, and our worth, even though we're talking about the bubbles of worth, everybody is of worth, and everybody is worth a lot, you know?
Everybody's worth a lot.
Everybody.
If you ask me to put a price tag on myself and what I've offered to the world, I mean, I'm going to have it up in the billions there.
As you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that might not be reality in IRS land, thank God.
It might not translate like USD dollars into that.
Yes.
You know?
But I think I'm probably in the billions as a mother to my children.
In your kind heart, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
I think if somebody said, hey, what would you pay for your mom? I think Carolina would give her whole savings account. I think it's like $1,263.
But you know what? Even though you say that number, to look at the love that she would have for you to do that means your worth is up in the billions.
Yes.
Yeah.
If she had the billions, she'd give the billions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so I think, you know, we have to redefine our worth internally. That's first.
100%.
And then stop grasping. Let go of anything.
Yes.
And then the last thing that I realized is that worth has to translate into your voice.
Wow.
I was struggling this week not having a voice. Scared to have a voice.
Okay.
Intimidated to have a voice. That was hard for me.
Yeah, I bet it was. So when you're in those situations, or in that situation, as we're talking about internal worth, do you feel like because so much was going on, you did not have time to step in internally to say, hey, this internal worth needs to step out, or that's just how you...
I think it's just me as a person, and I'm going to accept that. Okay. I'm getting too old to try to change that aspect of myself.
Amen.
But I am very willing to, I wouldn't say change, educate myself and improve myself. That I definitely am interested in.
Yes.
And one of the things I need to improve myself on is not wait until I want to cry, not wait until I feel passive aggressive.
Okay.
Not waiting and learning to use my voice in the moment that it's happening.
Correct.
And I am willing to improve upon that and use. I want to learn better words that maybe are not emotional words.
Okay.
That are cleaner words that I feel confident enough to use because I have worth. My worth is so tangled with emotional words.
100%. 100%.
And all my words is like, it's very feel-goody words. Like all of everything that I do, that when I talk about worth, I'm like, I have all these little yummy, soft, emotional, cozy words. And I'm like, my gosh. And when I was talking to my husband, he was like, you just need to say this. And it was like 4 words you used that were like principal level.
Correct.
On a principal level. I'm like, I would never say that on a principal level.
Yeah.
So I think we all could improve. Some people do really well. I think you do really well.
Yeah, but I need the yummy.
Oh, you need the yummy, cozy words.
I won't say yummy, cozy. I've gotten so much better because I was just a hard-ass rock. Like I said, raising my sons, because I felt like I needed to be that in order to handle what I think I was facing. But I can always use more yumminess in my approach to things.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a good balance.
Yeah. I learned that from you.
I can take any human being can call me right now. Like if the phones were ringing right now and somebody said, Allison, I'm struggling with worth. Oh my gosh. I would be like a stream of a concierge of skittle words that would fly out of my mouth and would say, oh, you are beautiful and kind, and the inside of the divine of who you are is shine so beautiful. Don't you ever forget that. Like I know how to do that.
Yeah.
That is like my forte. But when it comes to defining worth with my voice that needs to be clear and articulate in a certain situation, I do need help with that.
I love that you're saying you need help because we all do.
Yes, I'd like to improve.
And it's okay. And that helps with growth, because I always say if we're not being progressive and growing, we need to hang it up, because you know what, you won't be here much longer.
No.
So I like that you're saying that. But there was one more thing that I was thinking about in the self-worth, and you talking about using your voice.
Yes.
Which is so important, because a lot of times, and I don't know if we probably don't have a lot of time to go much further on this because of this podcast. I might have to do a part 2 at some point, because I'm enjoying this worth because it's important. But in here you talk about using your voice, the fear sometimes that we have to go inside, because we often think that what we know our self-worth to be, we have put such a low value on that.
Absolutely.
That we're afraid to say something, or we're afraid to acknowledge it, because if we do, somebody's gonna see that we're not as confident as we pretend that we are.
Correct.
So quickly, how does someone gain that voice, in your opinion?
Number one, I think you have to be willing, just like boundaries.
Okay.
You have to be willing to say, I'm not responsible to how somebody responds once I set my worth through my voice.
Okay.
So I think you're right. A lot of times we don't set our worth through our voice because we're so afraid they're going to go, well, I'm not willing to pay that. So I'll walk away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not really $100. I'll be $75.
Right.
I don't really know if I want to pay $75 for you. And then you're like, okay, fine. Then I'll be $45.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're down to $25.
When you just want them to accept you.
You felt 100. You spoke up. You used your voice and said, hi, I don't like that, or hey, I would prefer this.
Yeah.
This is my worth. I'm $100.
Right.
I think that's step one, using your voice. I've done that, but sometimes I get scared to do it because I know deep down they don't see me as $100.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And they're going to then tell me I'm 75, and that's going to hurt. So I think part two of using your worth with your voice is be prepared that everybody else may not agree with that same worth.
Okay.
So be it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So be it. Absolutely. Then they shouldn't be buying you.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. So with that, we are at the end.
We're at the end
already.
So we're not gonna change. I'm not for changing.
No.
I like who I am.
I don't think, and
I just want to learn.
I'm not even for changing, and I'm not about even fix anything, because I don't think we're broken.
No.
I just think there's some tweaking needs to be done.
I just need to be tweaking.
Just need a little tweaking.
Yeah.
And not twerking, but tweaking.
I probably need to learn how to twerk too.
No matter, we might.
We might do that.
We might do that.
So I think where we're leaving this with is let's stop using the outside world to tell us our worth.
Yes. Yes.
Determine your worth internally.
Yes. Absolutely.
Use your voice. And be okay that not everybody wants to pay that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that too.
I love that. Some takeaways. I love that.
Yeah.
So with that,
let's go blow some bubbles.
Let's blow some bubbles. And we say amen.
We say amen.
And we say before we go, please remember to check us out.
Yes.
On Instagram, Yatra Sisters, Facebook, TikTok.
Oh yeah, we're doing funny TikToks now.
We have TikToks that are coming out thanks to Mandy.
Yes, our new PR girl.
So grateful to have her on our team. But thank you all for your time, and have a good one.
See you on the other side.